In your package, you will find two sets of minutes, one for the council meeting of January the 13th, the other for the work session of January the 25th. You have had a chance to look over those minutes. What is your pleasure as to their acceptance or their decline?
I'll make a motion to accept.
A motion to accept, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Is there any additions or corrections to either set? Hearing none, all in favor of acceptance, please signify by raised hand. Unanimous. On the agenda tonight, we have Mr. Joe Bridges with us. And Joe, at this time, if you'd like, the floor is yours, and you can either use the podium or whatever your wish.
Okay, thank y'all. I appreciate the work session the other week. You know, we had a lot of things going. I talked to Clay a little bit, and we just were batting around a few ideas. But in looking at all the things that are going on with the bathrooms and such, I'd like the council to look and to think at this from a property standpoint and not a property owner standpoint. I think there was one key point that we didn't really get to, and I know Mayor, you kind of took it off the table, and that was the library as a potential use for the solution of the problems. Okay, I think that's something, as Clay has said before, let's look at this as a potential solution. We're not saying if we say let's go, over here and do something, that's what you're going to do. But let's look at the potential of situations or of locations. One being here, that's been ruled out. That's something that would make me, say, okay, now what about the library? We did not really discuss that, and I think that was maybe a little unfair to do that. I'm not sure what would be the next way to do that, but I'd ask the council to look at that and look at this from a building standpoint. The Bridges family, we could come and go from Sharpsburg, but those buildings are going to be here, okay? And if you're not dealing with me, you're going to be dealing with somebody else on these same issues. And like I said, if we sold those properties, you would be dealing with potentially multiple people and multiple owners. I don't know how any other way to explain or describe those properties as such a way that the solution could be fixed on an individual basis by our family, okay? Yes, we have the luxury of having other property, but to my understanding, you can't rule on one piece of property based on the ability for another piece of property to be used. That's, if so, then you're ruling on two different properties with one ordinance or one zoning or something, and I just don't think that's right. And like I said, if we can't come to an agreement, then I'm gonna pass this on to somebody that can say, hey, here's precedence here, here's this or that we've done this. This is not the only town that's had this problem. This is not the only place in the world that has come across this problem. And I have searched far and wide to try to find somebody that has had this exact problem. And I think I've come up with some examples, one being Warm Springs, and that was kind of dismissed as that's Warm Springs, we are Sharpsburg. But, can we think about things, for the good of the town, be it whatever owner owns those properties up there. I don't know any other way to really explain it anymore. But that I would like you guys to look at the library. If the library meets code and everything's good, then yes, there's a cost. I understand that. And you guys want me to share in that cost. Those are discussions down the road. The first thing that I want to know, and I think we ought to look at, is it feasible? Is it technically feasible, or is it technically infeasible? Based on codes and based on precedents, based on other towns, in Georgia or anywhere. I've gone back to the historic sort of designation of those properties. There are situations where that comes into play, and that adds a different element that you have to address within the code. And there are many places that have had situations, maybe that I have not found specifically bathroom, but different staircases or entrances or different things where you have to look at the accessibility and does it meet codes. And in a lot of places, no, it doesn't, but they've made different variances, waivers, exceptions. They worked around it, and nobody's come and, no police has come and told them you're illegal, out of bounds, or what have you. They've looked at, the things that have gone on before, and they've got some good sound basis for doing what they've done. And I think that's out there. I think that's available. I just think it's unfair that we don't search out all those options.
I thought we had ruled on the library, but let's say that we didn't, and let's take it in two stages, if we may, please. First, I want to address a question to David. And David, I thought you hit this other night pretty dead on as far as the library use. Would you repeat what you said about the use of the library? Because the next step is on coming to council, but what is your opinion as to the use of the library as far as coming up to code?
I don't believe it'll meet the demands of what the city is, or what all the buildings will provide. That's first. And secondly, it's not open during the time that the town will be open.
Okay. And I remember specifically mentioning to you the other night that even if the library were to be there and each one of the businesses hypothetically had a key, who's going to assume the liability of the books, the equipment, the computers getting gone? Now, having heard what you said about the library, what I just said and what David said, do you want to put it to a vote before this council to see if they will accept that?
Does any of the council have any comments on any of
There
that?
needs to be a motion on the floor before they can.
Well, let me say one thing. All right, I just said a minute ago that we need to look at the technical side of it, and these are technicalities that could be overcome: capacity and hours. There's a cost to that, just like I said, but those are technical issues that I feel could overcome. They're not in stone prohibiting you from doing that. Maybe without alteration, yes. Okay, maybe that's the case. But is that something that the council would look at, do a feasibility study and say, what if we opened it up? What if we had something here to expand the capacity? What if we did certain things? Is that something the council would be willing to do or look at and say, okay, it's a possibility. It meets the 200 feet requirement. It's on the same level grade. It's up to code. It's here and available. It's a part of the city. And yes, we would be interested in utilizing that to benefit the town.
Code also says in that 200 feet that it has to be contiguous and it has to be owned by the same owner. That's not the case. Going back to the code.
What do you, I don't really, I mean, I don't remember that exactly. How is it, how does contiguous, and, I mean, it is, they are contiguous and they are by the same owner.
They're not contiguous. All right, let me read it to you. Toilet facilities shall have access from within the employee's working area. The required toilet facilities shall be located not more than 1 story above the 1 story below working area, and a path of travel shall not exceed 500 feet. Employees' facilities shall either be separate facilities or combined employee and public facilities. There is an exception. Facilities that are required for employees in storage structures or kiosks, which are located in adjacent structures under the same ownership, lease, or control, shall not exceed the 500 feet. So that doesn't qualify unless you see something there. Did I misquote anything, David?
Where's the contiguous and same owner?
Says adjacent structures under the same ownership, lease, or control. The required toilet facilities shall be located no more than 1 story above or below the working area, and the path of travel to such facilities shall not exceed 500 feet. Employees' facilities shall either be separate, whatever, but it implies, and you can take the implication the way you want to, that it has to be under the same or adjacent structures to be under code.
So now is that, what is the title of that? Give me the reference on that, because I've read something a little bit different than that. and I just-
International Property Maintenance Code.
Yes.
But what is the, because there are a couple of different sections, one being covered malls and one being non-covered malls.
This is chapter 5, where it refers to plumbing facilities and fixture requirements for business.
And that's the part that you sent me, that would be 503-3.
503-3, location of employees' toilet facilities.
Okay, so where are we falling short?
There's not enough facilities to take care of the occupant load of what would be in all of the buildings up there at the library. So I don't believe it's just one bathroom up there, isn't it?
That's all.
Yeah. And that would become unisex, and it only comes up to 15 occupants. So you're gonna have more than 15 people.
That's based on the square footage of that building though, correct?
Yeah.
Still, we
But
only
I'm
have one
including-
bathroom. If
Yeah,
that bathroom becomes out of order, we have no bathrooms.
right.
So we wouldn't, one bathroom is just not enough, period.
It would require 2 because of the occupant load of the building. Okay?
Like as in male and female, or?
Yes, yes, male and female.
So,
I just want to get some clarification. Are we talking just to meet the employee requirement right now?
You have to meet the employee requirement as well as the person that comes in to do business with you.
So you have to count,
I have to take the total occupant load of the building and size the bathroom to it, and facilities.
so
So
we
we
are
have a number of people that require to sit down and a number of people that require to stand up, okay? And they have to have hand washing facilities and everything.
But we can get by, all right, let's say that library were a business establishment. According to the code that I just read, employees' facilities, which say we have a librarian in there, employees' facilities shall either be separate facilities or combined employee and public facilities. So we don't have to have but the one bathroom. But if we open it to the public, we are going to have dual facilities.
Yes.
and for the business operation up there, it would have to include the public. Is that right?
For all the businesses, yes.
But now, you just said, and I'm reading what you just said, employee facilities shall either be separate facilities or combined employee and public facilities.
That, it's saying that it can be that. It
Uh-huh.
doesn't say that employee and public are separate. It says it can be combined.
So if you had one of your stores and you had a bathroom back in the back for your employee, you can use that for the public.
Yes.
But if you open that bathroom up, that one bathroom up to all the stores, then you're going to have to go into a dual facility.
Yes.
That's how you interpret that.
It says,
It's based on occupant load.
Well, what about the unisex bathroom? Where's the code on that? I don't have that right in front
Up
of
to
me.
15, you can be a unisex.
So after an occupancy low of 15, it cannot be.
Right. Then you have to have separate facilities.
Okay. And that's in the IP or the International Property?
Plumbing Code, the International Property Maintenance Code, and the International Building Code. It's all there. In each one of them.
Okay. And like I said, we're jumping ahead of ourselves in that these are technical issues that we're jumping ahead and saying no. And I'm asking, before that, can we look at this to say, you know, Joe, we've looked at it, and then the council said it's going to cost $5,280 million to do what Mr. Mont's saying we have to do, and therefore we just don't see the feasibility of this from a town standpoint. It's not something that we're willing to do. That's kind of what I'm asking.
so you asking it to come before a vote before this council tonight?
I think you don't have all your information.
I think we do, Joe, and there again, we can go to council with that. If you feel like you have enough information based on what has been said in the public hearing, or in the work session and here tonight, to make a decision, then that would be the motion. If the motion were to say, hey, I think we need to look at such and such, such and such based on what you said, then, and everybody is in favor of it, then that's the way we should go.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, I didn't, it just was a lot of kind of the same circle that we're in, and, you know, I guess it just gets back to what you guys want to do. I mean, I'm at the mercy of, you know, how you interpret the code and where you want to take this. So if you want to vote on it, I mean, that's just what you got to do. But I don't think you have enough information at this time to make a sound decision on the feasibility of the library.
Now, go ahead.
What I'm hearing him say, he's asking us to look at the feasibility of expanding the library to a capacity to meet whatever's necessary for code, you know, and look at what it would cost to do that, and then decide whether we would be willing to.
Yeah.
Then at this point, a motion would be in order to either, yes, go that route, or no, we have a library where we got a bathroom and we don't want to do that.
You know, I'm looking at, like I said, in there's a lot of references, the zoning and whatnot. It actually says that the city of Sharpsburg provides sewer.
Say what? Repeat, please.
It says that in the zoning, it says that Sharpsburg provides sewer. It said in your zoning ordinance. I'll be glad to show you that. In my you know, it's kind of like, okay, we really don't have the ability to do that at this time. I understand that. okay? But why in the future would you want to put in sewer? You know, is there, I mean, obviously that's something good for the town, correct? And if Donna owned the whole town, would you say, you know, no, we're not gonna put in sewer because that might look funny that we're putting in sewer for Donna? You know, hypothetically, I'm just saying this. So it's the same kind of situation we're dealing with here. This could potentially be a solution to a problem we have. And is this feasible? Is it not feasible? What do we have to do to get it into a feasible situation? And we constantly talk about the infeasibility of it and don't really investigate. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I mean, I'll be glad to show you the sewer reference if you're.
Yes, please.
Let's see. All right, is this correct right here first? And let's see. Facilitating the division of water.
I think you answered that yourself, Joe, when you said that you know that right now that the town is not capable of doing that. County cannot put in separate water facilities or separate sewer facilities. It's just not doable. We don't have that capability, unfortunately. Now, we're working on it, yes. Right here is an engineering report done for the town of Sharpsburg by Integrated Science and Engineering, where we were trying to tap onto the sewer system at the high school. Just to run it down to the traffic light, we're looking at $1,021,000.
From where to where?
From the high school where it stops, the new line that they just put in.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted a feasibility study running to see how much it would cost us to get down to the commercial area. And all total $1,021,000. That's a pipe dream as far as we're concerned. We could have that kind of money. Right now, grants are almost unheard of. Now, I will admit that the easiest grants to get probably are sewer and water. But not to the tune of $1 million.
Well, it was my understanding, and this was back, I don't know, a few months ago, I had a discussion with the water people, and they said there was a developer that was gonna bring it from the high school down to the corner, and they were looking at, while this was going, you know, they were trying to make decisions because they said this installation crew was in the neighborhood, and if they just said, okay, we'll stay here 2 more weeks and we'll complete this job, it will be X figure, but if we leave and they have to hire somebody else to come in and just do that section, it would be whatever percentage more.
Well, first off, they're already too late to do that. They're all through. They already got the electrical system set in up there for the pumping station. But I had a conversation with that developer earlier today, And would they like to do it? Yes. When they got that figure though, they were blown away. They were not even thinking even anywhere close to that figure right there. Now, I told the Sewer and Water Authority that the biggest thing we had was the wants. We want the sewer system in, we'd be willing to work with these people, but we just don't have the money. Now, would we be willing to work out something over a long-term basis of finance through the Sewer and Water Authority to get it done? That would be up to council, but probably, who knows? But right now, unless we can work with that developer, and unless that developer is willing to put up most of the money and the Sewer and Water Authority will advance us the rest of it, we can't participate. Even if they do, that's designed to go from the high school down 154 to the traffic light and do a turn to the north, up to the city limits on the north side. To run it to Old Town, we are presented with a total new, different problem. We have to run to catch all your places of business, we have to have a gravity system on Main Street to go down to the bottom of the hill, a forced main system to pump it all the way back up Tarrentine, past your other property, and connect on up there, which would cost us probably another $250,000, not counting the lift station. Do we have that kind of money just to tie in those 5 stores? No, we do not, because the county won't let us tie residential on, it's only commercial. So right now, that unfortunately is out of the picture. I discussed with them today the possibility of another, that one of the councilmen and I were discussing the other day, about the possibility of putting in a grinder system and a decentralized system in this area, and then running the effluent through a 2-inch pipe and catching it over to the high school or joining it at the end of Tarrentine. That would cut out a lot of the cost from a 6-inch pipe down to a 2-inch pipe. And the county needs the gray water to mix with their solids. So we're looking at that possibility. Is that a possibility in time in the near future? Don't see that happening because we would have to put in the decentralized system. We're working with yet another developer on the other side of town that even that might be a possibility of sometime in the future. So it's not like we're just sitting here not trying to work something out. We're working every aspect we can.
Except for the library.
Except for the library. What is the pleasure of council as to what has been brought up here? Is there a motion that can be made? Or is this something that you want to leave on the table for them now?
You mean a motion to consider the feasibility, or a motion to vote on considering the feasibility?
Right, and that, if you made that motion would also have to include who was going to be responsible for running the cost of that feasibility study. And that I won't say anymore.
Can I speak? Considering that we know that we'd have to have 2 bathrooms, and we know that'll be a cost, considering that we would have to hire somebody full-time to be there to keep it open, what would be the use of running a feasibility study if we can't afford that? We would just come up with more numbers to back up why this would be a roadblock to us.
Well, I mean, you know, you're working 3 options for sewer, and every one of those sound like the same dead end. You know, I mean, I just think it would be worthwhile to look at, you know, other options, and that's one that you know.
On the other hand, Joe, we have asked you to consider the possibility of another option, and that's putting in the sewer system over there for your businesses.
Yeah, that is an option.
Right.
And that gets down to money, and that's exactly what we've said.
Yep.
We're not willing to
Same
do
thing
that.
with us.
Yeah, I mean, we got a dead town, and that's, I mean, like I say, the Bridges family will, probably come and go, and there'll be other folks here. I hope the town survives and stays here, but it's not, the problem's not going away. And I just, the way the town has gone about it over the last 3 years has not pleased my family. And, it's costing us money right now, and I think there are other options and ways, using the historical nature of the buildings, that those kind of feasibility studies have not been looked at. I'm in the process of looking at some of those feasibility studies myself, paying for that myself. And if I get something presentable to council, I plan on coming to council again.
That would be great.
But-
We would welcome that.
But I just think we jump ahead and we say no, and then we back up and we say this is kind of what we're thinking, every time, as opposed to saying, this is something just like you just said. It sounds like it's going to be very expensive to have somebody there all the time and maintain this and that. Like I said, Warm Springs does that. They don't have anybody sitting there at that bathroom all the time.
That's not a library, Joe. Come on, let's be realistic.
It's a separate public facility.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Not a library that public can walk in.
And once again, there's an outside door to
No,
that
there's
building
not.
already. There's
No,
a
sir,
feasibility.
There's not.
There's not an outside door to the back
No, sir.
of that building.
No, sir.
Well, what did I see the other day?
You saw what used to be the bathroom on the outside, which is now a closet.
I'm saying a door to the outside on the back of that building. You're saying there's not a door to the back side of
I
that
said
building?
it used to be a bathroom in that door. That is gone, completely gone. It is a closet now. The bathroom is accessible only from the inside.
There's a door to the outside of that building, on the back side of that building, yes or no?
No. I just told you the only door is the old bathroom door. It is not a bathroom.
I'm just asking if there's a door to the
Yes,
outside.
there is a door to the.
Okay, good enough. So it's feasible that you could probably work something out, and at one time, that's the way it was, correct?
There was a bathroom in a closet. That's all. That is.
But it was
gone.
accessed from the outside of the building, correct?
Right.
So at some point in time, it was feasible to do that, and these are all things that you could look at doing. And obviously,
A feasibility study would also include, and I will bow to anybody else in this room, if we open that to the public, we're all going to have to put in another septic tank system. That will not accommodate the public going in. If we do, which the same study would say that we have to have dual bathrooms. We do not have in that building. What would be the difference of remodeling that one and putting in separate facilities and a septic tank, where you're putting it over there and doing the same thing on your property that would benefit your business? What's the difference?
that's a valid point, but the way, like I said, the way y'all have gone about it is just, that's, for us, it's off the table, and for y'all, it's the same thing. You're off the table, we're off the table, so nothing seems like it's gonna meet in the middle.
It's nothing that just occurred. This has been going on for many years with Mr. Bridges. It's nothing that just came up 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I mean, the way I understand it, it was 2 years ago, or 2 years ago and a month or so, it was cold turkey. You know, Herb Bridges, you can't rent these buildings out anymore. Here's the occupational tax, and it says you have to be up to code, and it says we're gonna come and inspect, and that tenant cannot get a business license, that tenant cannot operate.
I understand what we said at
That's
that
right.
time, but the discussion had been going on for years about bringing them up and getting the bathrooms in. We're
Right.
not even gonna go there anymore. We've
Right.
done beat that horse to death.
That's right.
All right, now, if you would bring up those feasibility studies and bring them to us, I think that the council would be more than glad to look them over. Yes.
Okay, so you want me to bring some feasibility studies on your properties and your thing, is that right?
Not just on ours, on yours too.
I mean, we've talked about that, yeah. If you're gonna, and you actually have that data yourself. But it also renders that property, I mean, there's a cost in and above the system itself, is an opportunity cost there. that's lost. And you understand that from a standpoint,
According to you, the opportunity gain would well offset that.
not necessarily.
Well, then that's not an option then. But
Right. I mean, it depends on what you want to put in there. If it's a restaurant, then that's a huge expense. If you just want to put bathrooms in there, that's different.
So you're going to do the feasibility study?
I can do some feasibility study, but I mean, yes.
Okay. Any further questions from council for Mr. Bridges? Any more comments reference to what we've been discussing? Hearing none, we'll move on. Nothing else, Mr. Bridges?
Yep, I did have one other thing, it wasn't on the agenda, talking about roads, am I correct, Donna?
Yes, it's on there.
And this is partly to Celine, the talk about the street light, okay? I didn't mean to be insensitive about that, and so I rode over there, and I do think that's a valid, major concern of the city, having a one-way road over there being that small. I mean, I was shocked, and if you do have children in that street and buses and everything, I mean, I think, this is just me personally, I think from a property owner, I'm not a resident of Sharpsburg, but anyway, the residents of Sharpsburg, that probably would be a good project to work on. I don't know if you get grants or what you could get, but to me, that looks like more of a liability with anything to do with the city of Sharpsburg being scared of getting in trouble than the bathrooms. But I do think that's a bad. It's just not.
Well, my 11-year-old has already requested sidewalks.
No. I mean, I'm talking about get the road up to standard. I mean, it's like a
I mean, the
one-lane
road's not really
road.
bad. It used to be two-way when it was dirt, okay, and then I got it paved. And then it went from being, and it should have never been a two-way, because you really can't get a bus and another car down there. You can't really get two cars down there going the opposite way without going off, or somebody going off on the side. So, I mean, one way's okay, but you're right, it is narrow. It is a narrow road. It's not intended for two. I don't think it's intended for two cars. I don't know if it ever was intended for two cars, but we have, the children have requested sidewalks.
That's all I'm gonna say about it.
You might want to pass out a thank you to council for paving Stovall Street, which your property joins all the way down it.
Well, to be quite honest, I don't think Dad really wanted it paved anyway, so I mean, that's great. You can pat yourselves on the back, but I'm gonna pass.
Okay, you got it. Next item on the agenda, town entrance sign and merchant signs. Celine, this is something that you wanted to do.
I did, I really wanted to talk about this in a work session, because we've been talking about this for too long and we have not done anything about it. And I know you have spent time, I asked you to bring these drawings tonight, or printouts of pictures that you had, but I really think that this year, and I would prefer in the first half of this year, that we get an entrance to our town up off 54 where the old sign used to be. And if that's the only one that we can get this year, then I think it just needs to be something we need to put. I know there's a lot of things going on, but this is something that I think that we need to have, not only to establish the town, but also for the merchants. And the merchants brought it to us a couple meetings ago about their concern about not having the signs. Eric had brought that up, and I really think that's something that we need to address and take care of.
Right.
I really do.
Now, Eric is working on the merchant sign, that end of it. And who are you proposing take care of the other sign?
Well, I mean, if y'all want me to pick it out and design it, then I will.
Okay. You want to meet with me one day and I'll pass on to you?
I think we should have another work session, honestly, because I do think that all of us should agree with this.
Yeah. But I think we need to have, I've got not only the pictures, if you'll look back at the very beginning, series, flip it, keep flipping. You'll find that there's detailed drawings down to the inch as to sizes.
I see that right here.
Yeah, so keep going. There's just gods of them.
Okay,
on and on, keep going. Where I've worked on it and given it a lot of thought and a lot of time, even down to the materials which you, part of you were holding in your hand.
right,
So I'm
which I
willing to
think we all
continue to
like
work
that.
on it.
Okay,
But as I mentioned, some of this stuff, unfortunately, I had to put on the back burner because we've got a lot going on right now. And I will get back on it, but if you want to work on it with me, or if you want to work on it solo, I'm all for it, because I know it needs to be done. I wouldn't have spent that much time on it.
well, I don't necessarily mean that I wanna work on it solo, I have other council members that can help me,
Right,
or that should participate.
good, yes, that's what we need to do, is get some stuff to present to them at the work session, then we can have a work session and discuss it in more detail, make changes.
And haven't we really budgeted for this already out of SPOS money or one of the monies?
It will
For
go
the-
in, we can put it under SPOS, under Parks and Rec.
Okay, well, this is something that I think that we really need to address and need to get done, so, we can put this on a work session to review specifics of where and what, how we want the town entrance to look, but I think we need to get it done.
Right, I do too. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think that was, okay, town entrance market signs.
Eric, is the lady up back with you yet?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things that she's drawn up, and when it was time for public comment, I was just gonna offer to work with Celine so that we would have some continuity in the signage, and we don't have a Mutt and Jeff appearance going on.
Great. Yes, by all means. Everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have with us tonight the mayor of Brooks. Dan, do you have a comment that you would like to make before council?
Well, I did actually. I certainly don't want to go ahead of any Sharpsburg resident or.
No, we skipped website.
Yeah.
We skipped website on the agenda.
Sorry. Can you hold on just a second then?
No.
Apologies, I'm sorry. Website.
Website, this is another thing I wanted to talk about at the, work session. I'm glad Keith got the website up. I think there's a lot more that we need to do and add to it, so it is comparable to some of our other towns. I think we need to have our contact names, emails, we need to have posted minutes of the meetings, the agenda, when we're gonna be having meetings. And there's just a lot of stuff that I think that we need to have on there that's missing. And I guess as far as like who's the administrator or who can do these updates or postings or whatever, I don't know if that's something we want Donna to be doing, since she kind of is the one that's doing the minutes and the agendas and everything. But that was also another concern. If we've got it up, let's make it to its full capacity, I think. And it's not right now.
Keith?
Donna emailed me the agenda minutes. I went back and got the agenda from January meeting, so I updated it. That's all up. The only thing I don't have on it that's been requested is the ordinances. And I don't want to copy and paste them, I want to attach them, and I'm working on a way to bulk attach all of the ordinances right now. But I think if you'll go back and look, now I just did that Friday, so if you'll look, you'll see tonight's agenda, minutes from last month, from the
So you
work
wanna
session.
attach these things like this PDF?
Yeah, PDF, because to read all of it and paste that in there like I did with the minutes is just too time consuming for me. But if I can do a bulk load with everything, have an entry called it, town ordinances, and then maybe separate them out in different folders, but so that you can click on it and open it, but you don't see the whole thing, because it's very laborious looking at it, but I can do that. And I'm open to any suggestions about what y'all want. If you don't like the look and the feel of it, just let me know, and I can research and change, make it look differently. I pick guy colors, dark brown. I know that there are probably a lot better looking things to do than what I did. This is my first website, so I went with man cave looking stuff.
It's okay, that part's fine.
Well, I know, I look at Sonoy's website, and it's flat, but now it's built by a professional, but there's PowerPoints on the front page with changing pictures, and I'd like to do something like that. I just hadn't spent the time to get there, but I did update it Friday, and I realized I gotta put some more time into it, so. But I'm open to suggestions. I did put all of our names out there, but I did that a while back. I didn't want to put phone numbers until I spoke to everyone and make sure that the email and the phone number you want, you know, which ones that you want published out there. But
I mean, I
I
think
do.
that's appropriate to have a contact number and an email from each one, for each one.
And I need to get pictures. I'd like to have your face next to your name. I got a few things like that I need to catch up with. I know Eric offered to one time to take our pictures.
It's still out there. I
Is it
think it'd
still
be
out
great.
there?
Yeah.
Then we need to go
Okay.
get our pictures made, and I'll post them, our names.
Is there a time that we could do that and not be in your way or in your schedule?
We can make it happen. I can come down here and set up, and you can all come at one time.
Okay.
What's your question?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, yeah, that would be fantastic. Donna, do you have something you want to say about the webpage as far as, okay. No. All right. So,
I'm guilty. I haven't put enough time into it, and it's not that hard to do. It's just time
we're,
consuming, so.
I appreciate how much you already have put into it, 'cause that's
Thank you.
a lot of work. Anything else, Ms. Celine, on the webpage? So at this point, let's go to public comments, and this time, I will go to Dan, and I apologize.
Oh, not a problem whatsoever. Just thank you for indulging me for just a minute, and I won't take much of your time. I am Dan Langford. I'm the mayor of Brooks. My day job is that I'm Chief Financial Officer at Landmark Christian School. By way of further introduction, Eleanor Bridges and my grandmother were first cousins, which means that Joe and I, if you do it the Southern way, are fourth cousins. If you do it the Yankee way, we're second cousins once removed. But you'll be real pleased to know I'm not here to talk about genealogy. I wanted to mention just very briefly municipal waste systems, and specifically the one that we have in Brooks, because I did see a brief excerpt of a tape this afternoon of I think a recent work session, and there were a couple of misconceptions on both sides that I just feel it's better to correct and try to get out in the open. While I am kin to the Bridges family, I am not, it would be totally inappropriate for me to be here to advocate for them. It would be totally unbecoming for me to be here to try to tell anybody in Sharpsburg how to run Sharpsburg business, and I'm not trying to do that whatsoever, and I hope you understand that. Very briefly, in the early 1990s, the town of Brooks found itself with an aging core of downtown commercial buildings and turn-of-the-century residences, which in the case of the commercial buildings, very few had modern facilities in them, restroom facilities in them. In the case of several of the residences, we were experiencing some septic tank failures, and they were very small, in-town lots. My late grandfather's store was an example of that. He ran the store for 45 years, from 1940 to the middle 80s. And it was fine to go across the street to the post office in those years, but by the early 1990s, you needed to improve it a little more than that. But there wasn't any place to put a system there, or in several other buildings that were in equally desperate need of improvement. So what the town did was went and got a grant. The council members at the time and the clerk at the time, I was not on council then, I didn't even live in Brooks at that time, I had not moved my family back. But they got a grant in the neighborhood of $40,000, which was really a very low interest rate loan, and we put in, which to my very technically challenged way of trying to describe something is a glorified septic system down in the recreation park, not in it wasn't tied to any residential development. It was in the recreation park that part of the land of which is owned by the county and part of it's owned by the town. And my understanding has always been that first system was put in that it actually crosses the boundary from city to town. It's partially on county land and partially on town land. But it was put in and it functions as a sewer system. We did not charge anyone part of the construction of that. We did charge very minimal tap fees at the time, which just recovered the cost of the tap. Our clerk at the time remembers that they were in the $200 to $300 range. And of course, there have been monthly billings ever since for all of those folks. But in no way did we ask for our property owners to share in the cost of that system. We did it because we were either going to have a downtown that's going to dry up and go away, or something that we needed to improve. Now, we 4 or 5 years ago, we went in, again at Brooks' total cost, and this was financed out of cash reserves, and we put in a parallel system, a second septic system, which at a valve can be manipulated so that one system rests for about half the year and then the other one rests for about half the year, and you don't wear either of them out. We have 12 to 15 customers on that system. They all pay monthly fees, pay monthly sewer fees, which is the same as their water bill. And it's just a real proud part of the infrastructure that we have in town. But I did want to clear up the misconception that I think Joe had mentioned, that he thought that it was a part of a residential development. It was not, although there are a few residences tied to it. And the other misconception that was mentioned was that we asked for contributions from towns, from property owners, and that is not true. It was financed solely with Brooks' monies. And I very much appreciate you letting me come tonight to clear those up.
We really appreciate you coming over. Thank you for coming and sharing that with us. Any comments as to?
And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have about it, but I just felt like I needed to clear that up.
Yeah, David was a part of that way back at that time. He was working at that time with Fayette County and was a party to all that goings on. Any questions while Dan here reference to the comments he made?
How big is that park that you're using for the drain field?
The park,
Or the?
I'm sorry, I don't know the acreage of it. The county portion is fairly substantial in size. The city portion is smaller. I'm a terrible judge of acreage, and I'm sorry, I don't know, but there are, I don't know, do you happen to know? There are two big baseball fields, two full-size baseball fields. There's some softball fields. There are t-ball fields over on the city part of the park. It's sort of low ground too, which is interesting, because usually you want to do high and dry, I understand, in septic, but it's kind of in a low area. But my understanding is that the original system was put in, and it's sort of on both city and county property. The new one, I am absolutely positive it's totally on county property, but we sort of have informal arrangements, and they work that out with it.
Dan, do you know, or David, do you know who ran the line from the house to the trunk line to the septic? Is that something that you might know?
I think they all had individual plumbers, but wherever the taps were located, they, and I'm not sure, I can't remember who the contractor was, whether it was the county helping them or if it was bid out.
I think
Sharpsburg, that's right. They put in the taps, they laid all the sewer line, and they put in the septic tanks, and I think the field lines. And then, of course, I was given the rest of the work to clean it up and make it pretty again. But Mr. Lanker's right. They were charged tap fees and not installation fees. But it offsets some of the.
It offset, a bit of the cost. I believe the loan doc. I saw the loan document Friday night, and I believe it was $40,000. I should have brought it with me. It was $39,000.
I think Mr. Brownlee was in Virgil.
Virgil Brownlee was the mayor at the time.
Yeah,
And he's in an assisted living thing now. I really don't know how to contact him. Carolyn Smith was the clerk at the time.
Exactly.
I spoke with her,
right.
and she said, absolutely, we just charged some tap fees instead of very, very minimal tap fees. So,
And,
But it also cured a lot of problems for the county as well as the city, because like Mr. Langford is saying, is that it's in a little bit of a low area, and there's a lot of springs in that area where the ballparks are. So what they did was, is they drained some of those, and some of the residents along Railroad Street, I believe it is, they tapped on because of those springs were encroaching onto their properties as well.
right, now, $40,000, but that was how many years ago?
That was
20
before.
years ago.
Yeah.
1993. When we put this second system in, and I should have looked that up and I didn't, I believe that was just before I became mayor, which was, I was sworn in for the first time in January of 10, had just been sworn in for the second time. I think that was probably put in about '09. My recollection is that it was in the $50,000 to $60,000 range, but I would hope not to be quoted on that because I don't remember for sure, but that's sort of what I'm thinking that cost.
Right, right.
So were you put in the second one, were you having problems with the first one? Is that
Actually,
why?
yes, actually so. The problems arose in perhaps the last wet year that we had, and we were beginning to have some problems with that one, and we were advised that we needed, if we wanted to keep that one operable, we needed to put in a second one to be able to rest that one. And so yes, that's exactly what happened.
The ball fields use these facilities as well, so it's,
And
So was it due to increased usage then?
probably some increased usage, but I believe that it was a wet year that prompted the need for
So
action.
maybe just the location of it?
That probably had a good bit to do with it, yeah.
Right, and it is, I would say, probably, having known that area and kids playing ball and in the scouts and all that, using it, I'd say it's probably as much as 8 to 10 acres.
oh, there's,
At least.
the whole recreation facility is probably 15 to 20.
That's what I would
Right,
guess.
but where that drain field is, I'd say, 8 to 10 acres, a lot more, yeah. Any other comments from the public? Anything else? Comments from the public?
Just one thing I'd like to say, I'm the owner of County Monument, and on the issue of the sign, if you need any help with that at all, I'm in direct link with Elberton, Georgia, and we might can give you some help on that project.
Thank you.
Right. Any other comments? Ms. Jean? No comment?
I've got a question. With the septic system, I know there's not much maintenance, but you own it, the town owns it. Do you have an employee that looks after it, or how do you?
We don't, we have a contract with, I believe, Shockley and they come and do whatever it is they do to maintain it very regularly. And when they think it needs to be done, but no less than every half year, they turn the valve and shift the usage to the other system. But yes, they come, I couldn't really say how often, but very regularly just to check on the functioning of it. And it's just a contract we have with them.
I think the environmental health has an annual inspection they do on all the county facilities, and I'm sure that's
Probably so. Probably so.
Mayor, do y'all list that as one of y'all's utilities as though you were the utility provider?
Yes, sir. We do. It is actually billed, this may be a detail you don't need, it is actually billed with the water bills. And that's an interesting situation because we own our water system, but the county actually operates it under a lease. And so we pay the county a per bill amount to bill the sewer bills with the water bills.
Right, very good lease, by the way, 15 pages, and I've read it cover to cover.
We have a real good lawyer, I think y'all know his name.
Yes, I have met that
So,
gentleman. I think his wife works somewhere in that vicinity.
She does, she's our clerk, and he does a wonderful job. So.
I heard that she's not clerk anymore.
Well, she's actually the town manager now, that's right. I just,
See, I keep up with.
old habits die hard, but yes, she's just done a wonderful job for her.
Poll of council.
Mayor, I had one thing I wanted to add about the signs. Thank you. And I've got these pictures, and I took these about a year ago or longer when I first asked the town to do something about the signs. So as I was riding down the highway, you were fussing about how much it was gonna cost, remember? And so I took some pictures of some little signs that not gonna cost a whole lot. And so if you take these, when y'all start looking, if you can only afford one great old big one, one place or another, maybe you can afford some little tiny ones at the other entrances. Will you hold that for me? Sure. They're from, even Little Lone Oak's got a sign, believe it or not. And one's colored, I give it to the mayor. Lone Oak's got them, and you know how big Lone Oak is. You don't know where, oh, okay.
Lone Oak's
Nice
Meriwether
looking
County.
on this, Hogansville. Nice. It's looking here in Hogansville, it's got like 3 people.
Oh, I've seen that little sign, I think, but I didn't know.
Do they really? Well, anyway, I figured if they could do it, anybody could.
I agree, oh, I
I was president of the Chamber of Commerce there.
agree. I like
At
this.
Lone Oak? I thought it was in Hogansville.
Hogansville, I thought you said Hogansville.
Well, Hogansville's got a really nice sign,
This like on the top, not the,
and that's not the biggest one, that's a nice one.
like
Planning.
that, the top.
Thank you.
Poll of council.
And no one's contacted.
I had a neighbor complain about somebody going down our street the wrong way and too fast. And that's all. I don't know if we have a speed limit sign on our street.
Yeah, you do.
Do we?
You got a one-way on
It's
it.
facing the wrong way for that person.
That is
It might have been me going the wrong way, but I wasn't going fast, I know, because I had you in
I don't
mind.
think it was you. I think
Probably
it was a
was.
teenager that's affiliated maybe with my street because he's friends with my son. But I took care of that, but that was the only thing I was contacted on.
Comment.
No, I'm happy with that.
Close comment.
Real quick, I would be glad to help with the cost of the sign. Now, to what degree we're talking, I don't have no idea what y'all are talking about. But I see that as an above and beyond type thing that the town's going to do, and I think it's a good thing, and I'd be glad to help with the cost.
Right. On the mayor's minutes, goes back, and I'm addressing this to everybody, not specifically to Mr. Bridges. A lot of the ordinances, we know from time to time, we don't follow them to the letter of the law for every moment. But if we have a complaint from a citizen, then we have to look into it. When you're talking about what we did and when we did it, that happened in that case. I have right here in my possession 2 written comments about those buildings from the citizens. So don't think that we just indiscriminately said, okay, like you said, time to shut this down. Time to make this right. We did have a complaint from citizens. All right. Nothing else come before council? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn will be in order.
Motion.
So moved.
You're getting good, you're having long meetings now.